It is the second last day of the month, and it is on a Thursday, which means tomorrow is Friday, and it's the last working day of the month. Well, we are live from Broadcasting House. We are here to give you a proper analysis of the day's account. Remember, today the Azimio team has called for more demonstrations. What is happening in the city of Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru? We will be live in all these places and, of course, in other counties, just to give you an idea of how the situation is on the ground. But if I can bring you up to speed, we have seen some high levels of normalcy here in Nairobi Central Business District. If you compare today with the Monday, and of course the previous Monday, it's proper to say that business is back, or about 40 to 45% of all businesses are open in Nairobi CBD, and probably this is has been aided by the fact that police in the last demonstrations, they managed to hold the protesters in or outside the city center, and so that's why we are seeing a lot of activities in Nairobi Central Business District, as opposed to what we saw on Monday and the previous Monday. And so it seems like the police strategy of keeping the protesters away or outside the city center is somehow working. The other thing that is worth highlighting is the fact that the Azimio leadership, they started their journey on Mombasa Road. Right now, I'm being informed they are past in Maradaima Estate. We're just trying to see the direction they are taking, and also trying to track their movement to see whether they will be able to get into the city center. We do not know yet whether that is their intention, but that is where they are. Well, my name is Kimani, and as always, we are happy to have you. And of course, it's proper to say that welcome to this special coverage of the event that are shaping our country today. I'm still joined by Chris Otieno as a member of the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya. We were with him on Monday. He gave us interesting analysis on what is happening, and that's why he's on the set, so that he can also help us, with more ideas and more security analysis of the situation on the ground. Thank you very much indeed, Chris, for coming by. You were telling me that you came from Upper Hill.
No, I came from Syokimau, Mombasa.
Oh, Syokimau.
Yes, through Mombasa Road.
Very well. Yes. And I'm sure you used the expressway?
No, this time I don't use expressway.
Oh, you didn't use the expressway?
Yes.
Okay. How was the situation along the whole stretch from Mombasa Road to here?
No incident, no traffic, but there's heavy deployment of police. More or less, we're saying that a lot of people have decided to withdraw themselves from the main road because of expecting what could happen today, which is a normal reaction when you have been alerted of what is going to happen in the next time, the next few.
So by the time that you are using Mombasa Road,
yes,
it seems like the Azimio leadership, they had not started using that highway.
Yes, they don't start using the highway. As I was following through what was happening, I got wind that they were along Maradaima section of Nairobi. They had just come in through Outer Ring Road from Ruaraka, and they were headed that direction. I think they want to get to Jacaranda grounds, or the game plan is not yet known, because every time you do this kind of stuff, you need to have some game plan. I'm very sure with the leadership of Raila, His Excellency, Honorable Retired, there's a game plan that the team has in terms of how they want to reach the people. Yes.
Why did you think of Jacaranda?
If you see, one of the targets here would be, how do we get to a point where we can have a multitude, or we can have a crowd to address, just like they did in Kibra. Yeah, the same game plan is now coming up, and Jacaranda is a ground that can contain quite a number of persons. They have a huge support base in Embakasi, and I believe once they get there, once they get access to the grounds, they can get the crowd that they're looking for. But at the same time, you see that police are also prepared. They too have a game plan of how they want to disperse these crowds, how they want to approach this Maandamano for today. So both sides are prepared. Whatever preparation they think is right, they are prepared. And
I'm just seeing yes, the photos and videos being sent by our reporters who are on the ground. And you can clearly tell that the convoy, or the the protesters following the Azimio convoy was not as big as we saw on Monday and the previous Monday.
Yes, there's something more or less that direction, that the crowd is diminishing pole. But I wouldn't want to say that affirmatively now, because time is still not ripe enough. We know that what I have seen lately is that they tend to be more strong as time goes towards the evening. So for now, we can say that is the number for now. We wait for evening numbers. Or probably you could also be very right by saying the number is diminishing. So from whatever angle is happening, we can't tell for now, but we will see as time develops. Yes.
Very well. I mean, just hold on to your thoughts because we just need to update the public on what's happening because we want to bring you some breaking news, as you can see on your screen, where a Pwani University bus has just had a head-on collision with a public service vehicle. Unfortunately, we're getting reports that about 14 people have lost their lives. More have been injured. They have been taken to various hospitals around Naivasha, and that is the report we are getting at this point. 14 people have lost their lives after a Pwani University bus was involved in a road accident or with a head-on collision with a public service vehicle. 14 people have lost their lives. Many more have been injured. The police are at the scene and rescue operations are ongoing. The wounded have been taken to various hospitals, and that is the situation on the ground. It's quite unfortunate. We'll keep you posted on more information as we get it. But at this point, what we know is that 14 people have lost their lives. This is the official count as given by the police. We'll keep you posted on what's happening. Our heartfelt condolences to those who have lost their lives and to those who have been injured. We want to take this opportunity to wish them quick recovery. Well, that is what has just happened in the last 30 minutes or so. We're working on more details, and of course our reporter, our team is on the ground, and once they get more information, we are here, and we'll definitely keep you posted, because you know for sure that KBC is always there when news breaks. We break it with you. Well, let's now continue with our coverage here, and of course with our analysis with Chris Otieno. He's a member of the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya. He's joining us here to help us analyze the situation on the ground. Chris, we have seen a strategy in the last two days, that it was on Monday and today, whereby police have managed to seal off all entry points into the city center, and we also saw things on Monday where they managed to hold the protesters in their estates and neighborhoods and suburbs. This strategy, to you, is it working?
Yeah, for now it seems like it is working, because one of the objectives, every time you come up with a strategy, you've got to have an objective. And I think the strategic objective of this particular one was to deter persons from getting into the CBD of Nairobi and reducing the impact of property damages. And I think that has worked, because we are seeing more and more of the protests, or more and more of the protests, the intensity of these protests going to the suburbs of Nairobi, right? But then we could also say that even Azimio themselves, they could also be having a counter plan. If we cannot access the CBD, then what is the other area for us to communicate our intention, right? They would go now to the outskirts of Nairobi. So I think you can say, yes, police have worked so very hard to make sure that the CBD is very safe. Business is open, like you're saying, about 40% is up and running. 60% is from probably fear or something like that. But then we're having other effects of these mass demonstrations outside of the city.
And so when you look at today compared to Monday and Monday the 20th, would you say that somehow today there isn't much action that is happening on the ground?
Yes, you can say that, which is very right, because I believe if they were to come to CBD, probably they've been full glare of cameras, and that would bring in something outside. But then, despite the fact that even the guys who get news from the ground have access to these areas, but we're not seeing quite a lot of these people in there. So like we said in the last instance, probably we are seeing these demonstrations starting to diminish, or we are seeing more and more epicenters being created, with each epicenter carrying its own load of persons. We are seeing these people from different areas are not congregating at the CBD, but they're congregating at the domicile areas. So if you look at the numbers in the domicile and the numbers at CBD, right? So the numbers of domicile could be accumulation of what we would have seen in the CBD. Mm-hmm. So the patches could still contribute to the numbers that we would have seen in CBD.
And why the choice of Mombasa Road and Embakasi?
Embakasi is very huge, and it has a huge population of Nairobi. And that is a stronghold of Azimio. And definitely, to be strategic enough, they won't go and take these mass demos to a region or an area that is not a grassroots. They don't have a good hold of it. So they would choose to go to an area because they too want an impact and perception. Impact in terms of the number of persons that show up to go into mass demonstration, right? And the perception that, yes, we still have a very big political hold on the populace in Nairobi and the several areas that we're doing our thing.
Mm-hmm. There was a hint from the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga, that their desire is to have the demonstrations on a daily basis. And judging from the happenings today and the happenings on Monday, is that a sustainable strategy?
Before Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga says something like that, he definitely has some facts to back up what he's saying. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm sure that in his intelligence, he just can't wake up and say that you're going to have this thing on a daily basis. Before him having some reports from his people on the ground, some pieces of advice from here and there, right? So he'll make that statement from an advised perspective, from an advised background. Mm-hmm. So he has a reason why he's saying that. And we can only wait and see what will happen if they can sustain that on a daily basis. For us is wait and see. For him is to strategize and see how that is going to happen. And also remember that he has his people on the ground who can marshal up numbers and to go out and achieve his objective.
But we as a country, you know, do we have the kind of strength and the kind of agility to hold on to demonstrations for weeks, for months, just like we saw in Tunisia, in Egypt? Now we are seeing these in France, in Germany. Is it possible for us to do these when you look, bearing in mind, you know, our levels of poverty?
We can say that since we don't have historical data to support our sustenance of this kind of demos, we say that there's a first time to everything. Probably this could be the first time, or probably this will not happen. So because we don't have facts to back either side of our aisle of argument, right? Then we can say our best way here to be authentic in what we are saying is to sit and wait. Is a wait and see perspective. Approach it from a wait and see perspective, and then from there we can now pass our either analogy or our view of what we have seen out there.
But I'm sure, you know, we can use the information that we have, you know, to try and predict what is likely to happen.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow, because you know, unlike in 2017, yes, when we used to have this mass protest, and there was sporadic. Yes. We used to have protests in Mombasa, in Kisumu, in Kakamega, in Kitale, in so many other towns.
Yes.
But when you look at this time around, the protests are more pronounced in Nairobi, and also a part of Nairobi,
yeah,
by the way. They're more pronounced in Kisumu.
Yes.
I haven't seen so much in Homa Bay. There has been a little bit of disturbances in Migori. Towns like Kakamega are quiet. Bungoma, Mombasa, we haven't seen any demonstrations. Malindi, the same thing. Isn't that probably maybe a pointer that demonstrations here are something that are not working?
It could be
people are getting weary.
It could be a pointer to that. It could be people are getting weird, or it could be a political base. what do we mean by political base? Are we saying, we've seen that part of the persons, the political luminaries in the country who were with Raila in his earlier political formations, have now formed another formation. And please remember that when an individual in a formation leaves, of course he leaves with part of the crowd or the multitude in that. Yeah? So we've seen part of this crowd who were with Mudavadi, Honorable Mudavadi, sorry, and Honorable Tangula, and the rest of the people who are now in the government now leave with them and go to the other side of the aisle. So basically that tells you the crowd that you used to see initially when these people are in the same coalition with the current leadership of Azimio will be taken away to these other areas. Mm-hmm. So you will see some emergences here and there in terms of either rising up in numbers or going down in numbers or neutrality. But then in the strong areas where the government is so strong, you will not see anything like this. What you might see there is retaliation, like probably what we had yesterday in Kapsoit. So this could be, this alienation pushes reactions into different directions. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we have also seen the international community, now wading into this issue, whereby yesterday we saw a number of Western countries issuing statements and saying that it is high time that we looked into this issue of demonstrations because it is hurting our economy, it is hurting our peace, and it is high time that we looked into a solution to this. I mean, they were shy. They were short of saying that it is high time the President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga, sat down and developed and came up with a solution. What do you read in that?
Most of the time, majority of the times, the Western nations will come to protect their interests. Mm-hmm. And you can see that we have a very high member of U.S. political system coming to the country. The U.S. Senator for Delaware, he's Kuhn, he's come to the country.
Yes.
And we saw him come in other years when we had after elections and what came in as the aftermath of the political process that we were going through. So there must be a reason why our Delaware Senator is here. And you saw when he came here, he held a meeting with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and our Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And then from there, statements came out that could give us a hint into what was discussed. Yeah. So it's part and parcel of a diplomatic process, from one direction, and part and parcel of protecting their interests. And we also see, like in 2017, Denmark, those Scandinavian countries, they also had a voice to say exactly what we seek now. So when you want to read this from a political divide, from a wide political angle, and a security angle, basically tells you there is something up here in the front that probably is cooking that we here cannot be knowing. But they're purely here to protect their interests, and their interests could be jeopardized by the presence of this kind of thing. Another reason could come if this chaos continue. Is
very good. I mean, Chris, thank you very much indeed. I mean, I've been told that we need to go to the Senate, but asante sana for your analysis and for joining us here.